Hey, welcome to this terrific Tuesday edition of Liquid Lunch on Newsmax TV. I'm John Tobacco. We have a whopper of a terrific Tuesday show coming for you today. We have Rich Valdez joining us today. We have Tisha Powell's going to be here in studio. Joe Connor, Stuart Tome, James Dickey. Unbelievable show. We're going to get into the impeachment. The president's team started coming in with their defense the last couple of days. We're going to break all of that down for you and more. To start off this terrific Tuesday, let's look down the street to the New York Stock Exchange, where things are considerably better than yesterday, where the market shed just about 400 points. Today, up 240, back on the road to recovery. And I think little by little, we'll see that the fear, fright, and hysteria from this supposed coronavirus is not as bad as it seems. And I know there's some people dead, God bless them. Many people are ill, but we're talking about a finite number of people. And I do not think it's as big an epidemic as we're being led to believe. So I think the markets get a little certainty out of that, which is good news. And it's always good news on a terrific Tuesday when Frank Morano is here. Good morning, Frankie.
Hello there, John.
Good evening.
Good afternoon for some of you. Good morning to the rest of you. Whatever the case may be, whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening, it certainly is good whenever we are together. A ton of news.
So good.
A ton of news that we're going to be following throughout the course of the next 2 hours. The president this hour is expected to unveil his Middle East peace plan. Now, we don't know exactly what's in it. Here's what we do know. The Palestinians, even though they haven't seen it, they're already opposed to it. So they don't like the fact that this was cooked up behind the scenes with the Americans and the Israelis. So the fact that they weren't included doesn't matter that they haven't seen the plan yet. They're already opposed. It reminds me of that old Marx Brothers movie, the old Groucho Marx routine. Makes no difference what they say. I don't care anyway. Whatever it is, I'm against it. You know. And I should have gotten the clip of Groucho. I don't do, or at least the mustache and cigar. Yes, exactly. And the glasses. All right. Now, so we're going to be keeping an eye on the Middle East peace process. We're going to be carrying live coverage
Speaking of Groucho,
of the impeachment trial next hour. But none of those are what I am speaking, frankly, about. Well, sometimes, I am right more often than I'm wrong. And usually, I take a lot of great pride in being right. John will be the first one to tell you I have done a number of "see, I told you so's" to him and to the public at large. But sometimes I'm very unhappy when I'm right. And that is precisely the case with John Bolton. Over the course of the last 3 days, at least in the eye of many of you Trump supporters, have been proven right once again about John Bolton. Now, when John Bolton was appointed as National Security Advisor, I talked about what a disaster this was. I talked about how wrong John Bolton has been on every single foreign policy question over the last 3.5 decades, by and large. I talked about how this guy has been clamoring for regime change and a new war in Iran as long as he's been alive, since 1979, at least, since the current regime began. And now, after seeing what John Bolton is up to this week, I am unfortunately right again. So John Bolton was fired by the president in September. For those of you that don't remember that far back, because the news cycle moves so quickly, John Bolton wanted to go to war with just about every country on the face of the earth, with the possible exception of Canada, and Donald Trump didn't want that kind of person as his national security advisor, so he said, channeling his apprentice days, "You're fired." So John Bolton was let go in September. It's now January, and he already has a book ready to go. This book has been written, edited, and is being printed in a matter of months. Now, those of you watching who've read books before knows it takes longer to read some books than that time, let alone write one. So what has come out in this John Bolton book? Well, we know the New York Times scoop yesterday that apparently John Bolton said that the president did hold up aid for Ukraine. Still not an impeachable offense. I'm not sure why this is in itself a game changer in terms of witnesses. But okay, Now, today we're learning that John Bolton privately told Bill Barr, the Attorney General, that he had concerns with that President Trump was effectively granting personal favors to the autocratic leaders of Turkey and China. This is all in the John Bolton manuscript. So, first of all, I don't think I need to point out that nobody voted for you, John Bolton. It was Donald Trump that was elected. It's his policies that the voters will ultimately judge, not yours. We don't need you and your shadow government buddies subverting the will of the elected leaders of our country. But what does this say about the character of John Bolton? The fact that he would publish this book in March, just months before President Trump's reelection, and fill it with material that he knows is going to be damaging. Yeah. It tells you this guy is as disloyal as he is wrong on foreign policy. Would it have been...
What is he hiding behind that stash?
Yeah,
that's the question. Right. I mean, I brought that up back then, if you remember. I said, Lord knows what else is lurking behind that mustache.
Would it have been any hair off Bolton's mustache if he waited until after the election to publish this book? Of course not. He probably couldn't have gotten the $2 million book advance that he got by publishing it in the middle of the campaign. But what this tells me, the fact that he has this Ukraine bombshell in this book, the only reason that he offered to testify, or at least publicly expressed his willingness to testify, was because if he published this in March, after the impeachment trial had concluded, everyone would have been saying to him, oh, wait a minute, you hid this major bombshell and saved it for your book. That's the only reason Bolton is doing this. So I think this has proven what a disloyal fraud John Bolton is. And the next time I warn you about somebody that's not only wrong on policy, but disloyal and a fraud, maybe you'll listen.
All right. Well, look,